Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sonali Kaul, and thank you, John, as well as Rosalind, for the wonderful session of yoga followed by meditation. It was very helpful. It helps us calm before the sessions. So today, my topic is going to be cholesterol confusion. I have named the topic as confusion because majority of us still don't know what we need to eat and how cholesterol becomes high for us and how we can manage it. So to understand that, first of all, you need to know what is cholesterol. So basically, cholesterol is a type of fat molecule. It is already made in our body. And the liver is the major organ which helps in making this cholesterol. So it contributes about 70 to 80%. Whereas from our diet, it is only 20%. Initially, everybody used to think that diet is the main source which triggers, but it is not so. It is the processes which take place in the liver, which make different types of cholesterol, which I will explain further. And diet plays only 20% of its role. So to understand that, let's go on the next slide. So why cholesterol is important for our body? So cholesterol, as you can see, plays various functions. It is important for our functioning of the cells, the healing, repairing of the cells. It helps in making the hormones, which is estrogen and testosterone, helps in making vitamin D, as well as in making of bile acid. Now, this bile acid comes out from the liver, and the liver helps a major role in breaking down of our fat and distributing it into smaller molecules and in distributing it in different parts of the body. Now comes another term, which I would say, which is called as lipoprotein. So for this to understand, first of all, you need to understand lipo. The word lipo means a fat. So if you see the structure over here, you have to imagine this like a coconut. So the outer shell is basically consisting of, like in a coconut, you have the outer shell consisting of fat as well as cholesterol. And then inside you have various different other types of small cholesterol as well as some other fat molecules. Now for fat to move into our body, it is very difficult because it cannot go in simply like a water molecule. So basically, these lipoproteins, they help in the movement of this cholesterol into our blood, muscles, as well as various other tissues. So usually you must have come across in your blood tests, the doctors giving you a breakdown or advising you a lipid profile test. So basically, the blood test shows the amount of these different types of 4 lipoproteins present, which is chylomicrons, VLDL, LDL, and HDL. So you have to imagine them that chylomicrons is like an MTR. And they are lots of, like you have in MTR, the trains are crowded. In a similar fashion, the chylomicrons, as well as the VLDL, they are the major ones which are circulating or moving in our body. Then you have the LDL, which we oftenly called as the bad cholesterol. And we have the HDL, which is like a private car. They are less in number and they move slowly. So all these, the major site where their function takes place or their breakdown takes place is the liver. Our liver is the primary organ which helps in regulating cholesterol. So as the liver processes, what happens is it recycles and cycles and distributes these different types of components into the parts of the body. So eventually, when we see the breakdown, the LDL, which we call as the bad cholesterol, is more consisting of cholesterol. Whereas HDL, it helps in removing all the bad cholesterol, and then whatever is left goes to the liver for recycling. And this VLDL and chylomicrons, they help in they break down this cholesterol into simple forms, which are called as triglycerides. Even the doctors in the lipid profile also suggest the testing of the evaluations of LDL, HDL, as well as triglycerides. These triglycerides are the maximum ones which are circulating in our muscles, tissues, as well as in different parts. Commonly, what the doctors have seen and observed is that triglycerides is the simplest form of fat which is stored. So the more body fat we have, along with low HDL, which is a good cholesterol, and high LDL, which is commonly called as the bad cholesterol, our tendencies for heart attack as well as strokes can increase. Initially, the guidelines by the American Heart Association, they would always say that people who have family history of heart disease are genetically, they are predisposed to having heart attacks or stroke, or cardiovascular diseases would be common in them. Along with poor lifestyle, where people live a very sedentary lifestyle, no exercise, excessive drinking, bad eating habits, and smoking. Stress is still a number one contributory factor for the increase in the cardiovascular diseases. But now, because of the change in the diets in majority of the population in the world, they have added children as young as 9 years old also, that they should also be getting regular assessments or also watch out for children's diet, as well as keep them physically active to avoid deposition of fat in their body. Genetically, scientists have confirmed that people of South Asian origin, basically Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Vietnamese, Malay, even certain populations of certain Chinese populations, they are predisposed and they have an increased tendency of developing cholesterol issues along with tendency to have cardiovascular issues. Women who have premature menopause and people who have metabolic syndrome. So basically, this metabolic syndrome is a collection of 4 symptoms, which is you have increased blood pressure, you have increased BMI, which is you have more weight according to your height, lot of fat around your tummy region, high sugar levels, as well as increase in your triglyceride levels, along with low HDL. So these are the common metabolic syndrome consists of these factors. So the doctors always recommend, please decrease your weight, decrease your BMI, control your sugar levels, and exercise more. People who have kidney diseases, because the blood is not able to flush out the toxins, removal of the cholesterol, and people who have some inflammatory issues. These people do have a tendency of having increased cholesterol levels, which can further lead to cardiovascular issues. So what can be done? As a nutritionist, I'm going to advise you basically on the dietary aspect. So management involves number 1, diet, wherein my role comes into play. Exercising. Smoking should be stopped. Slowly decrease your excessive drinking if you have the habit. Try to decrease your stress levels. Regular blood tests, as well as cholesterol lowering medications if suggested by the doctor. So in the diet, first of all, the most important thing which the people generally are lacking is the lack of fiber. So fiber, basically, I will take in my next session, what are the different types, but to give you a basic idea, you have soluble fibers, that is, which break down easily, and like spinach, when you cook it, it releases water. Your bottle gourd, winter melon, they are the kind of soluble fibers which are slightly watery, easy to digest, they make you feel full. And then you have insoluble fibers, which is your hard fiber, the tough ones, the whole grains, oats, barley, buckwheat, all these. So they recommend that for cholesterol level, to bring down cholesterol levels, females should be consuming about 25 grams per day and males about 30 grams per day. In Mannings or commonly in the Chinese store, pharmacy stores, you come across psyllium, which is trade name is Metamucil. They say consuming 1 gram of this, they have observed it brings about a decrease of the total cholesterol level by 2 milligrams. Eating apple with skin, because it has polyphenols. A medium-sized apple, it helps in controlling the HDL and LDL ratios. Your different types of colorful bell peppers, red yeast rice, which is fermented rice, soya beans, onions, and garlic. This picture over here gives you a brief idea that we generally tend to consume a lot of beans, cooked beans, fruit, like 2 fruits or 3 fruits in a day, with avocado or potatoes or greens. So generally we should try and cover 5 portions of vegetables and 2 fruits in a day. And a word of caution that these tough fibers like oats and barley and buckwheat, they are insoluble ones and they absorb water in our large intestine. So for effective bowel movement, as well as to decrease constipation, also drink a lot of water. At least 6 to 8 glasses of water should be consumed if you are having a high fiber diet. Then comes fat. So now commonly high calorie and a high fat diet is called as the Western diet, which has got lots of like French fries, chicken nuggets, deep fried fatty food. And then you have trans fat. Now the trans fat has become a biggest concern because this trans fat, commonly you come across this word in the form of margarine, shortening, cream cheese. So excessive intake of these, it increases our bad cholesterol and it decreases our good cholesterol levels. Saturated fat, which is again increases our bad cholesterol levels, the butter, the lard. So we should decrease our intake of these fats. Cut down excessive intake of red meat, like lamb, excessive amount of beef, and especially these luncheon meat, because they are ultimately added, number one, with preservatives. And also these red meats, when they break down in our body, they release certain compounds which have been considered as carcinogenic, as well as can lead to deposition of plaque around the arteries. Squid and cuttlefish. Scientists have observed that they have a different form of cholesterol, which is called as oxidized cholesterol. It's like saying you have an egg and you deep fry the egg. So you're basically the yolk consisting of the cholesterol, and when you deep fry it at high temperature and high heat, so the cholesterol becomes oxidized. It is far more harmful as compared to eating a simple egg. So I would put it in a way that decrease your intake of these shellfish. People who have no cholesterol issues, 2 eggs in a day, if cooked in less oil, is fine. Should not increase your cholesterol levels. Excessive intake of this junk food, commonly like pizzas and burgers and nuggets, they should be cut down or cut it down to a minimum if possible. Then exercising. As we exercise, we decrease our weight. And when we decrease our weight, these circulating triglycerides, they also are excreted through our body. So it helps in controlling our total cholesterol levels. Try to engage in 30 to 45 minutes of exercise for 4 to 5 times per week. In exercising, also keep in mind that when we have fat around our belly region, that is an indicator that we need to bring down our fat levels in that area. The fat which is deposited under the skin can deposit for a longer period of time, and it becomes very difficult to remove it. Why menopause? So in menopause, as I had said earlier, cholesterol is required for making of vitamin D, as well as for these estrogen hormones. So as we age, in women, this estrogen level decreases. And because estrogen levels are decreasing, so this estrogen also binds with certain molecules of which control the LDL levels. And if the estrogen is decreasing, these LDL level attachment also decreases. As a result, we find women with menopause tend to have increased LDL levels in their blood. Excessive smoke, excessive drinking, and smoking should be cut down because they have been proven that they lead to deposition of plaque around the arteries. Stress. Number one, identified as a risk because it leads to increase in the blood flow levels, leading to damages of the blood vessels, and also the hormone regulations which control the stress. So try to practice yoga, mindfulness, and meditation to calm your cells. Regular blood test, often recommended at least once a year if you have no issues, or 6 months if needed. Lipid profiles, they are a good indicators of checking your cholesterol levels. And if people are already having cholesterol issues, they should be taking their medications. They do help in controlling the cholesterol levels. Here is an example of few recipes of few dishes what you can make, like good breakfast of oatmeal or steel cut oats or rolled oats, which you can have with yogurt or with milk or with soy milk or almond milk with fruits. It's a good start. It keeps you feel full, good source of protein, vitamins, as well as minerals. And also it'll help in decreasing your cholesterol levels. Fiber basically in form of carrots or grilled vegetables or cooked vegetables, a lot of greens. The Chinese greens, everybody loves these Chinese greens, and they can be cooked in different forms, steamed or sauteed or just stir fried with vegetables, with chicken. Less of meat and more of these vegetables, they can definitely control your cholesterol confusion. And in the end, I would like to say that we do need some healthy quantities, and as they say that excess of anything is bad, little is okay, but too much, it can really trigger issues in our body. So thank you. Thank you very much. I hope this topic was useful to everybody.